Cheers and good on you, boys and girls. Thank you for tuning into the show. Do me a favor, share the show, text it out to a friend, share it to your social media. Comment below. I read all the comments and I love to see them. And as promised, in 2026, I am going to start recording more. So the more feedback I get, the more comments I get, the more shares I see, the more follows that I see, I'm going to keep recording. The one thing that's been a little frustrating, and I've said this a long time ago, not with you guys, not to the loyal listeners, but it's funny how if I do a political show, which as you could probably tell, I'm trying to get away from, there's just so much more to life than just politics. There's too many people talking politics anyway. There's too many people that do it better than me anyway. I look at it as, let me get to the point, then I'll get to the other point. I'm kind of sidetracking myself a little bit here. What I'm trying to say is that when I do a political show, I get huge numbers. Sometimes like $6,000 hits. When I do like just a life lesson show, one that I feel is probably even more important, about living life, about maybe even Christianity, things like that, they don't get as many views, and it's fine, because I'm not doing this for the recognition. I'm not doing this for, hey, everybody look at me. If this helps you, great. If someone doesn't want to listen to it, great. I mean, seriously, I'm just doing the show at this point. I like to do it. It's a passion of mine. I like connecting with certain people. So I'm not doing it for recognition. I'm not doing it to be famous. I'm not doing it. There's nothing like that at all. It's just, I guess, two things help people. Probably a different thing would be kind of leaving a legacy. You know, one day my daughter can look back on these episodes, see who I was, see my mannerisms, how I use my voice inflections, how I use my hands when I talk, and get into my head a little bit, some of the thoughts I had at a certain particular time. So that's pretty much why I do the show. But if it helps you, share it out, or comment below, like I said, and if you don't, that's fine too. I'm still gonna do them. So, but I thought that was a funny thought. Like, going back to, like, I guess more or less why staying out of the political. It's not that I'm staying out with it. I'm still gonna look at the news. I'm still gonna look at things that are relevant. It's just, it's become so saturated, so watered down, I guess. Everyone's got an opinion, and I'm kind of tired of the whole left versus right. And I have my opinions. You guys can go back and look at the episodes and find out kind of where I lie politically. And it's not a secret, but what I truly want for myself, and I for this country, by the way, for this country, for all of us, I want to be more neutral. Like, I have my beliefs, but I'm willing to, like, sit down and listen. I cannot stand the fact that we've got to a point, and this has been going on for a long time now, where we can't just sit down and discuss things. I'll applaud Bill Maher in a very big way. You've heard me say his name before and talk about kind of this point of view. Even though politically I'm not necessarily aligned with Bill Maher, and I don't agree with everything that he says, but that's kind of my point. I agree with most of what he says, because I feel, even though he's on, let's say, a different side of the aisle, he's very open. He's very fair most of the time. He's extremely fair. And he'll talk to this person, he'll talk to this person, he'll talk to this person. By the way, the funny thing about Bill Maher too, he gets criticized a lot because he does not have enough people on the left on his show. If you listen to, like, his podcast, Club Random, and he says, I try all the time to get people on the left to come on my show. They won't do it. The people on the right will come on my show. So that's why. And then they hate him because, again, he went to the White House and talked to Donald Trump, and they hated him for that. The left hated him for that. So I know, like, kind of where I sit where it comes to, like, there's certainly one side where, look at Nicki Minaj, for example. She came out as a Trump supporter. She's getting canceled now. Like, you can't have your own opinion. So I'm trying, I guess in a weird way, I'm kind of diving into the politics a little bit, even though I'm trying not to. Where I'm trying to get to is just, let's just be open. I don't want to cancel someone just because you're a lefty or you're a righty. Or, again, if that were the case for me, I wouldn't even listen to Bill Maher. I do listen to Bill Maher. I like him. He's very open. And I also like this person and this person. So I like people on both sides of the aisle if they're fair. if they're open, if they're willing to have a discussion, which we should be able to do in this country. We should be able to get to a point back where it used to be. I don't agree with you, but what do you have to say on this? Okay, well, I heard your point of view. I don't necessarily agree with you, but I respect your opinion. Here's my opinion, and shake hands and move on. Like, why does it have to be, if you don't feel the way I feel, I hate you. You're a Nazi. You're a demon. Enough with the name calling. Enough. Again, they love the word chaos. They love the, so again, I'm kind of diving into it a little bit without trying to. I don't want to be that way. I want to be very neutral. I want to be like, what are your thoughts? Here are my thoughts. And you're still cool with me, as long as you are cool, as long as you're not, it's like, I'm a big Star Wars fan, at least the old school ones, where the prequels, even, where they Revenge of the Sith, they said, like, only a Sith thinks in absolutes. So it's like, if you don't agree with me, you're a Nazi. Like, no. And that was kind of where I guess a lot of that started with me with COVID too. For example, COVID is, if you questioned anything about COVID, like wearing 2 masks, or why do I need a shot if you got a shot and it's supposed to, like, you can't get COVID, then you're a white supremacist. I'm like, wait, what? How do you connect those dots? I'm a white supremacist because, or if I feel, oddly, men can't give birth, you're a white supremacist. How are you connecting that to white supremacy? How are you connecting that? Again, this country has gone way off the rails. Thank God, a little bit it's like I've always said, the pendulum is starting to come back a little bit. Swung too far, starting to come back a little bit. But let's share ideas. Yes, I will still talk politics when it applies. I'm not going to dive into everything, and I'm not going to dive into every little single story that comes out, because there's too many people doing it. So I'd rather focus on living your life, having a good life. For example, I'll share a funny story, like comedy things. I tell my daughter, don't eat Doritos in bed. Dad, I don't eat Doritos in bed. And then I go to vacuum her room. When I get near her bed, like, those sound like Doritos to me. That's funny. That's like a thought process. Like, it's just, let's share stories like that. And then also things like, I'm going to share a video at the end when I sign out. It looks like my cat is praying. She's sitting at the dinner table. Her paws are up on the table. It looks like she's praying. So I do like a funny little fake cat prayer, like as if I'm speaking for her. Kind of funny. I want to do more things like that. And of course, always motivation. I always feel like, listen, there's always going to be someone better than you, but you shouldn't focus on necessarily, I need to be better than this person and this person and this person and this person, because there's always going to be someone better than you. What you should focus on every day is being the best version of yourself. If you are improving every single day, now you got the message. So be the best version of yourself. Stop making excuses. If you need to lose a few pounds, get off your butt, start losing the weight. Do what you need to do. If you need to work on your finances, then by all means, my friends, work on your finances. Be the best version of yourself. Set goals, work on your goals daily, and get into routines. I am such a routine-based type person. I'll give you an example. I've been fasting the last several days, and feeling a little weak, to be honest. I woke up with a terrible headache today. I still went through every single motion I normally do, including exercising. Now, I'm exercising a little bit lighter right now because of the fasting, but my point being, even though I didn't feel like it, every ounce of me was saying, don't do your fasting version of exercise, like a reduced version of exercise. I still pushed myself to do it and I feel so much better now. And that's the ironic thing. Even though I didn't want to do certain things, if you train your brain to get out there and do it anyway, I guess that's kind of the message. Do it anyway. Stick with your routines. I actually feel quite a bit better now. If you would have talked to me a few hours ago, my head was splitting. I had a terrible headache. I think it's time to eat, if I'm going to be honest. I think I've got the garbage out of my body. It's time to eat. It's time to get some nutrients back in my body. But my point being, I still went through the motions. I still followed my routine to a T. You could set your clock to me. You almost literally could. Like whenever I do pass away, which hopefully is not for many, many years from now, and hopefully I'm doing the right things to get to heaven when I do. But you would be able to say, someone who knew me would be able to say, when I'm gone, Scott would be doing this right now if he were still alive. He'd be, right now it's 11 o'clock and he'd be doing this, or it's 12 o'clock and he'd be doing this. I'm very routine based, but if you follow your routines consistently, first of all, it's hard to get off of those routines. So if you're following like a success-based routine, look at people who are successful. What are they doing on a daily basis? And I can promise you, am I where I want to be? No. But am I where I used to be? Am I so much further? You better believe it, because I've looked at what successful people do. I've taken on their traits. I follow what they do. And I've created a lot of success in my life, especially compared to where I used to be. You know, one of the best ways, listen to this, people, if you want to create success and be better than you are, raise your standards. You got to tell yourself, I am no longer willing to accept this in my life anymore. So have things in your life like where it's a non-negotiable. I'm not accepting this anymore. I will not live like this anymore. I am going to do this. Kind of like myself as an example today. I had to work out today. Again, a fasting version of working out. So it's a reduced version of my normal workout. But even though I didn't want to do it, I pushed myself to do it. It's a non-negotiable for me, non-negotiable. So because I've raised my standards. There's just certain things I'm not willing to put up with. And when you do that, when you raise your standards, the bar has been raised. You're no longer living here anymore. You're living here, and then hopefully, whatever it is, a few months from now, you've raised your standards. If you're always raising your standards, you're becoming a better person. You're becoming a better version of yourself. And that's what the focus should be on. I want you to become a better version of yourself. That's what you need to be doing. That's who you need to be. That's how you live a quality of life. That's how you never almost age and get old and decrepit. And that's how you defeat that. Learn new things every day. Set your standards high. Go after those standards. Don't just talk. Yeah, I'm gonna. No. What's your specific goal? Not I'm gonna one day. What are you going to do today? Set goals and then get to work on them immediately. That's another thing. The people who just talk, there's a difference between people who talk and people who are too busy taking action. You need to be a person of action, a person who makes a difference, where people look at you and say, that guy, that gal, they make things happen. Be someone who makes things happen. Work on yourself. Increase the quality of your life. Do things to help other people. That's what I want this show to be, okay? That's what I want it to be. Now, I wanted to talk about someone who, it's kind of a sad story, but it also it's at the same time, it's reminding me to live. I'm a huge fan of Scott Adams. Now, if you don't know who Scott Adams is, he's the creator of Dilbert. To this day, I do not think I've ever read a Dilbert comic. Now, I'm sure I almost must have at least seen one and probably read one or two here and there. I don't know much about Dilbert. Like I said, to my knowledge, I've never read one, but I'm probably have. But Scott Adams has an incredible podcast. Unfortunately, it's probably coming to an end. His health has deteriorated, but I've listened to him for years. He's probably one of the people that helped me think a little bit differently, because when you listen to him, he teaches you how to think. He's a trained hypnotist. So I'm not a fan of his because of Dilbert. Not that I don't despise Dilbert, I just don't know Dilbert. But his way of thinking and his way of training you how to think. But for a while now, he's been in serious health decline. When you listen to his podcast now, it's called Real Coffee with Scott Adams. He's on his way out, and he acknowledges it. He knows that he's on his way out, and even when he talks about it, he's saying goodbye to people, and that's the hardest thing, because he's seen people now for the last time. He talks about it, like someone will come to see him and visit him, and he knows he's saying goodbye to him, and he'll never see him again. He said as I record this, he said on yesterday's show, again as I record this, that the doctors were kind of telling him, when your health declines every year, you probably have years to live. When it declines every month, you probably have months to live. So on and so on. When it declines weekly, you probably have weeks to live. He is at the point, unfortunately, where when your health is declining daily, you probably have days to live. And again, you can kind of tell by the way, you can tell by the way he talks. You can, but he's handling it very well, by the way, at least when he's doing his show. I don't know after the show or before the show, but he's got some serious health issues, and he's dying. He is dying, but he's someone who's helped me learn how to think differently. And that's another thing, again, what I want this show to be. I want to teach you how to think differently and how to work on yourself and how to value life and some of the dumb things we get so worked up over. And when you realize how pointless it is, his life's coming into an end. Your life is going to come to an end. My life is going to come to an end. Where are your thoughts? Are you setting goals for the afterlife? I am. Am I perfect? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But am I working on that? Am I becoming a better version of myself? I can think of things so very clearly, where I'll see certain situations, and I mean so very clearly, and because I'll remind myself all the time, and I will say things like, the old version of me would have done this. I would not even think of doing something like that again. And sometimes it's not, I'm not talking about huge things, although huge things too, but like even small things. I listen to that voice inside my head or my heart. Here's what I mean by that. There's sometimes I'll see a piece of paper on the ground, and I'll hear that voice say, pick that piece of paper up and throw it away. And then the other version of myself might have been like, why? I didn't throw that garbage on the ground. I'm not gonna pick that up. But I'm not that person anymore. Or just to give it, again, just a loose example, just simple things. But if you're working as a person of excellence, this means a big thing. You go to throw a paper towel to the garbage can at work, and it misses the garbage can. There may have been a version of myself many years ago. Oh well, it didn't hit the garbage. Now, here's me. Pick that up. Someone is paid to pick that up, and that's not fair that you're giving them more work to do. You need to pick that up. But now it's not, there's no thought process. You just, I missed the garbage, pick it up. You don't even think about it anymore. But I'm talking about things like that. Making your bed every day. Make your bed every day. It creates success in your mind. You're a person who's organized. You're a success type person. What do you mean? It's just making a bed. I'm gonna mess it up anyway. Don't think like that. Think like when you leave a room, it looks the same as when you came in. There's not a mess everywhere. Oh, Scott was here, look at this mess. No. Clean it up. Leave it like you did. Leave it even better than you did. Maybe when you came into that room, there was a little clutter. You can pick it up. But that's not my clutter. No, that's not the thought process. Leave things not only the way they were, but how about ideally, leave things even better. The show would be an example. Hopefully you're listening to the show and there's gonna be a slightly better version of yourself after hearing these words. See what I mean? Always work on being a better version of yourself. So, my friends, do me a favor. Like I said, share the show, text it out to a friend, share it to your social media, and enjoy your life. And by the way, here's the cat. Here's my little kitty cat. I call her Peanut. And I also call her Brain, like goofy, cuddly kind of Brain, like, hey, come here, Brain. Like she's dumb, but she's cute. She's very funny. We have a great relationship, me and my cat. All right, my friends, thank you for tuning in. I'll see you next time. God is great, God is good. Let us thank you for everything, and catnip and everything. Amen.
Daddy, you're so awesome. Daddy, you're so cool. Yeah! I love you, Daddy.